Good morning. Good morning from Melbourne, Australia. Good evening to friends in the US. And hello to everyone who may be watching on replay. Welcome. I'm Nancy Hetker. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Melbourne, Australia. And the exciting news is, yay, I have finally received my copy of the new annual catalog that will go live to customers on June 3rd. If you're in Australia and you're not already working with a demonstrator and would like to get a copy of this fabulous catalog, you can send me an email here. Good morning, Mel. Thanks for joining me. And I would love to show you what's inside, but I can't. But if you are eager to get your hands on a catalog, send me an email. If you're eager to get hold of some of the products that are inside, you can join my team if you're here in Australia, because demonstrators, as of yesterday, could order from a select list of products inside here. And I'd be happy to talk to you more about that opportunity if you give me a shout out either through Facebook or at this email address, nhetker@mac.com. So let's get started here. Hello, Nikki. Thanks for joining. Today I'm going to make one of these magic color slider cards, and this is not new. It's been around several years, and it was really hot a couple of years ago, and I just never got one made until yesterday when I made this one. So I thought it'd be fun to do that today. And if you haven't seen these before, you pull and ooh, I think that's quite fun. So, and it impressed my husband and my daughter when I showed them yesterday. So this is what we're gonna make. We're gonna make exactly the same thing, and we will get started. So I found a nice tutorial, both a video tutorial and a written tutorial by Wendy Cranford, and I will put a link up to her tutorial because you know me, I don't really believe in reinventing the wheel. And I'm going to follow her directions. The only difference is I went ahead and put it on an A4 card base instead of a letter size card base, but her dimensions for the pocket part, the slider part, are all in inches, and I found the combination of the two worked really just fine for me. So that's what I'm going to do. So I've got a lot of my pieces pre-cut already, and basically what we're going to do is this makes the pocket that the pieces go in, and this is the frame that goes on top of it. And as you saw, I did two of them, and the first one I did a lot of futzing around to get these to line up exactly. And on my second one, I used the stitched rectangles dies, and I lined up the two pieces of cardstock, and I put the die on top of both of them and ran them through. It didn't cut through both of them. It cut through the pink one just fine, and then it left an impression here. And so I took them apart and I put the die back on here and I ran it through, and now they line up perfectly, and it was much easier than trying to run them separately and get them lined up. So that's my tip for that. These two pieces can go away, and she's got all of the measurements, and I suggest starting by cutting everything and then kind of walking through her directions with the pieces before you stamp anything, just to make sure you've got it in your head how it's going to work. And she mentioned, this is before we had the Stamparatus, and she said that she would have used her other stamp positioning tool besides the Stamp-A-Majig. And I tried that with my first one, and my head went in circles. So I decided for today, I am going to go back to my Stamp-A-Majig. If you don't have one, I'm sure you can track one down at online or a big box craft store, since Stampin' Up! Doesn't carry them anymore. There are times when they're just super, super convenient and easy. So I'm using this little piggy, and sadly it is retiring on June 2nd. If you don't have it, you might want to get it because it's super, super cute. So I have stamped it on the plastic sheet that comes with the Stamp-A-Majig, and double check that again. And now I'm lining it up and positioning. This is the jig part of the Stamp-A-Majig. And I'm gonna stamp in Memento Tuxedo Black because I'm going to use blends to color it in. So then I know how to position this. There we go. And let that dry for a moment. And then we're going to stamp again. There we go. On a piece of window sheet. And I'm just going to get that lined up pretty straight in there. And bring this template back in and lay it. I want it to line up as exactly as I can. There we go. And this time, get that off a little bit. This time I'm going to stamp it in StazOn because this is a solvent ink. It's not water-based like the Memento, and it's good for slick surfaces like the window sheet. And once it dries, it will not smudge, which is good because we don't want it smudging. So here we go. Ha! How is that? So now we're just going to let that set and dry while we work on the rest of it. And that we can get rid of now. So, bring in some Stampin' Blends and color up this piggy. A little bit of black on the hooves. So, how's it going where you guys are? Hey, Kayla. We are starting to talk about maybe some restrictions getting lifted. We got notified by our dentist that they can start doing regular dental stuff again, which I suppose is a good thing. I think I'm due for a 6-month cleaning soon. But we're still... May 11th is going to be our magic day to hear what they're planning to do here in Victoria. So, in spite of the Prime Minister wanting things to move a little faster, that's as soon as we're going to hear things here. Hello, Joyce and Wendy. Glad to see everybody here. I'm just doing some coloring in on this piggy with my Petal Pink Stampin' Blends. blending now, back with the light one. So one of the things that Wendy stressed in her video is how good it is to have lots of color on this layer, because it's going to contrast with what people first see, which is just black and white. So for those of you just coming in, we're doing this magic color slider. Ooh. And yeah, I didn't get quite all of my blends over here. A little yellow here, Daffodil Delight on my flower. Poppy Parade right in the center. And little mint macaron on the leaf. Okay, and now I'm going to mask the pig. You see me do masks before. I usually use Post-it notes, and I found you can get Post-its that have full sticky on the back, so the whole thing is sticky, which make really good masks. But today I'm using, some companies make masking paper. This one's from Inkadinkado. I think sometimes it works better for sticking and re-sticking, and yeah, I just decided to try it again yesterday after using Post-its for a while. I don't know how much better it is, but I had it, so I decided I'd try it. A couple of my petals came off when I was sponging yesterday, and I just decided to go with it because it didn't seem to affect anything too badly. We'll see. And I've got a itty bitty one here for the leaf, if I can get it in place. I'm realizing my feed did not catch up, so I'm not seeing what you're seeing. There we go. Make sure they're down. And I've got some sponges, and now I'm going to sponge on color. I've got my mint macaron. I like to start on my grid paper or some scrap paper so that I don't get too big of a splotch going. And I'm gonna switch over to some Balmy Blue. Again, my picture does not seem to be moving on this screen. Oh, Facebook. If I I need more ink on this Balmy Blue. Let's see how we go here. There we go. A little bit more here, I think. And make sure they blend together pretty well. I think that's going to be pretty good. Okay. Those out of the way, clean my fingertips. And let's pull the masks. Yeah. There we go. One little piggy. Flower and the leaf. Get them off of me. There we go. Okay, I can see I've got a little bit of a white band around there. So I'm just going to take my Balmy Blue marker and touch that up a little bit. Oh, that's a lot darker. That is not what I wanted. How are we going to do this here? We're going to outline them. Make it look deliberate. There we go. Here we'll pick up the outline with mint macaron. Yeah, I learned some watercoloring tricks from someone who always outlines. She usually does something pretty neutral like crumb cake or smoky slate or something, but this is going to work just fine for us to do this. There, now you can't even really tell. Just adds a little depth. Good. And I'm going to come in with my dark mint macaron and add a little to the grass down here. There. Then the next thing we need to do is find my pencil. There we go. I'm going to close this up, and we need to make a slit at the top here. So I'm just going to mark there and there and extend it a bit on the back so I can see it. And bring in my trimmer. You could use a craft knife for this, but I like using my trimmer. And I'm going to put the score line right on the trimmer. And then, easier if I could see further. You won't see any of this because it'll be hidden. So you can mark to your heart's content. So I can line up the mark on my blade to the mark on the cardstock and get me a nice measured slit. Now we bring this in and make sure that that's going to slide. Yep, that's good. Okay, so next steps. Here we go. Okay, where's my tear and tape? Now we're going to adhere the acetate sheet. Tear and tape is awesome for this. And I can see your comments, so chime on in if you have anything to say or questions to ask or anything. So have you guys downloaded the Double Wonder templates? Figured out if you're going to join in, not this Friday, but next Friday, 15th in the US, 16th, morning the 16th in Australia. Over on my blog, I do have the Double Wonder templates for both letter in the US and Canada, and A4 in centimeters for everywhere else. So now what we're going to do is line that up so it's exactly on top. And close it down. Yay. So there we go. That's good. And now she's got these slides or guides that we're going to put on each side. And I did this in advance. I took the tear and tape, which is a 1/4 inch wide, which is how wide these are, and I put it on, this is double-sided adhesive, you know, when you go to put it on your cardstock or your designer series paper before you punch it or run it through your Big Shot. you peel off the backing paper. This is the backing paper from double-sided adhesive. And I just stuck down some rows of tear and tape and then cut it in half lengthwise, so it's approximately 1/8 of an inch wide. And that's super good to use on these. And then you want it to line up right at the edges of your pocket. Good, Joyce, I'm glad. They are fun cards to make, the Double Wonders. The ones that I have in my example are pretty basic. They're just the designer series paper and the labels, but you can add all kinds of embellishments if you want. I just didn't bother because I was wanting them to be really fast and simple. Okay, there's that one. And then we need to do a shorter one. I've got 2 short ones here, and they go right, one of these goes right in here at the bottom. So I have some shorter pieces of the tape that I cut. Go. And again, right at the bottom. There. Okay, next step. Okay, and then we're going to do this other one at the bottom of this piece. And this is going to act as the stop that keeps it from coming out of that top slot. We're going to do it here. And it's going to be slightly longer than this insert piece, and that's good because again, we're going to want it to act as a stop up here at the top. You see, like that, it's keeping it from coming out. But we also want it to stay within the tracks, basically. So let's see how we're doing here. Because it might need a little bit of a trim. Yep, I think this side could use the tiniest bit of a snip. Sometimes there's just a little adjustment that needs to happen. And then the other thing that needs to happen is we need to put something up here to pull. And I liked this flower, though perhaps not quite so much adhesive. I'm so pleased that this small bloom punch is carrying over. Get that lined up, stay. I can see I've got adhesive going mad there. So I am very sad that this Embossing Buddy is retiring from the catalog. If you do not have one, you need to get in there and get one before they sell out, or are just gone, because they are great for taking sticky off of things that you don't want to be sticky. For example, this, that was a blob of adhesive, but the rest of the paper was good. So I just pounced that on there and now it's not sticky anymore. And likewise here where I got adhesive, now it's not sticky anymore. So we'll stick that back through the slot and pull it up. Now on Wendy's video, oh, did I cut off too much? Rats. For some reason she put that stop on the visible side, and that didn't make sense to me, so I put it on the back side. There we go. So we are almost done with that. Now we need to stick down, stick this down on this side. So again, I've got 2 more of these thin strips of tear and tape that I've cut in half. And this one's going to be too long, but we'll just rip it off. And we'll be ready to stick this together. Okay, I'm here. Okay, make sure that this is inserted, because once this is closed, you're not going to be able to get it in. And down it goes. Voila. So now we just need to put the frame on. So I'm going to put glue there. Get it to line up. There we go. And then I've got Whisper White thick card base and some of this Garden Lane Designer Series paper. And I've cut it a little bit big, as I often do when I'm covering an entire front, because it's easier to trim it to match exactly. What I can do is put it on there and line it up with these edges exactly. And then bring in one of my trimmers. I often like a guillotine trimmer for this. If you don't have a guillotine trimmer, that's just fine. guillotine, as some people call it. And then line it up this end. And there we go, perfectly aligned. And then I'll pop this on with dimensionals. The yellow paper. Nikki, did you mean this yellow paper? This is the backer sheet for double stick adhesive sheets, and it just made it easier when you take the tear and tape off the roll and you want to cut it in half. It'll just keep sticking to your scissors and get tangled up in itself. So I just use that as a non-stick place to put it while I was cutting it and holding it, and that just made it easier to work with, I felt. So I'm setting this towards the bottom so that this doesn't hang off the top. If you're working with a letter size card base, I'm not quite sure how that works out for you. This one is in centimeters A4, half of an A4 sheet. Yeah, you'll just have to play with it. And I couldn't decide. I was hemming and hawing. This one I went ahead and I wrote pull. I'm trying to decide whether that is a good idea or not, but you can see, here we go. Ooh. I always do the sound effects, right? Come here. So yeah, let me know whether you think it should say pull. You say yes. Nikki, was that to yes to the pull? So I just took my marker here and I write pull. So that's that. It's not as complicated as you might think it is. There's just steps to go through. Oh, and Joyce says no. This always happens. Yes, no, yes, no. Well, now they say pull. Yeah, and I debated about whether to use the pig or to use the cows from Over the Moon. I can't believe that one's retiring too. But these are fun, and they have a nice wow factor, I think, when you do that. So yeah, that's what I have for today. I will be back next week, same time, same place, to show you something else. I'm not sure yet what that is. Let me know if you have any requests. Until then, let me know if you are in Australia and you need to get a copy of the new annual catalog, or you want to get early access to some of the products by joining my team. Just drop me an email. And if you're ordering, don't forget to take advantage of the retiring products, that some of which are on sale up to 60% off. Others are just available while supplies last. Here's where you can go to shop my store. And if you're spending under $250, please put in this host code and I will send you a gift for placing that order. Until next week, stay up happy and check out my Double Wonder tutorial downloads and plan to join us the morning of the 16th here in Australia or the evening of the 15th in North America for a Zoom session. And all the info you need is available in that download. So see you next week. Bye-bye.